Registry module, I chose the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which was constructed in 2011 or finished in 2017 and started in 2011. It was constructed in the Benishangul Gumuz region of Ethiopia along the Blue Nile River. Now, this is an issue of water use rights. So, historically, Egypt has, I guess, what they claim natural historical rights over the Nile River and its waters due to the water rights granted by the 1929 Anglo-Egyptian Treaty and the 1959 agreement between Egypt and Sudan, which allocated all of the waters of the Nile between the two of them, leaving out Ethiopia and 11 other states, and also giving Egypt the power to veto any major infrastructure projects along the Nile River, which this is. So, since then, Egypt has used its extensive diplomatic connections and these two agreements to prevent construction on the tributaries of the Nile, which meaning technically that the construction of the GERD, as it's called, is illegal. However, Ethiopia's highlands supply more than 85% of the water that flows into the Nile River, but they have been unable to utilize its natural resources for its people, who currently face widespread poverty and low living standards, primarily due to their location along the Nile River and their previous lack of socioeconomic power due to its history of colonization, or being colonized, I should say. Now, Egypt maintains total dependence on the Nile River and relies on it for 90% of its water needs for watering crops, drinking, and household and commercial uses. So if they're left without water, their entire economy and infrastructure will be damaged, and hundreds of thousands of people will be left without water. Now, Ethiopia wants to dam their end of the Blue Nile River, claiming that it will have no major impact on the flow of water into the Nile River, which would affect Egypt. And they're doing this in order to benefit the countries in the region, the general region, by adding a source of affordable electric power and mitigating and the ability to mitigate droughts and water salinity, which is, this whole thing would be key in Ethiopia's economic development. But Egypt, fearing the worst, tried initially to prevent the start of the construction, but after failing to do so, has been trying to secure a political agreement over the timetable for filling the GERD's reservoir and how the GERD will be managed, specifically during droughts, because they don't think Ethiopia will be willing to release enough water to help mitigate a drought downstream for them, and it'll infringe on Egypt's use of the Nile, especially during a drought. Now, Sudan is caught in the middle, and enjoys the idea of the benefits the dam could bring, especially electricity, affordable electricity, but fears that it could threaten the safety of Sudan's own dams and make it more difficult for their government to manage its own development projects. So there hasn't been any agreement or mitigation. And a lot of the causes of this whole water use issue is societal and physical because of location, but typically societal because Egypt is claiming its natural rights. Ethiopia said, I don't really care, and built the dam anyway. And now those three countries, Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia, are currently trying to control how the dam is managed so that ultimately it can benefit them. But there has been very little mitigation. Nothing has been resolved. They're still waiting on an agreement that works for all of them, including the 11 other states that depend on the Nile that will be brought in later.